Do you ever stand, toes at the threshold of that yellow line, and imagine some nutcase is going to push you in front of the train? I always do. Every time the warm assault of air whips the hair against my cheek.
Hi, I'm Joanna Sterling and I'd like to tell you about TubeFlash, Tales from the Underground, a collection of flash fiction stories, and ask for your support to bring this diverse set of stories together into a book. Perhaps I should start at the beginning. TubeFlash began with a chance meeting at a vintage fair in London. I was chatting to a stallholder friend of mine about a fancy dress party she'd been to the weekend before. The theme had been stations on the London Underground. Louise had chosen the Elephant and Castle. Why did she choose that one? There are 270 tube stations. Why did she want to be an elephant, or a castle for that matter? There was a story here. Then I had the eureka moment. Why not illustrate my story with a brooch? TubeFlash had been born. When I got home, I turfed out all my brooches and found a gold elephant and a castle. I soon realised I could write stories about several other stations, illustrate them with brooches. A few days later, in the pub with a group of writer friends, I mentioned my latest writing idea. By the end of the evening, I had writers volunteering stories and suggesting other stations. I remember Zoe Fairbairn's mentioning Marble Arch. She had an idea for a story.
We stopped for coffee and discussed our purchases. Shoes, dresses, tops, frilly knickers. Perfect, we told each other, sipping our lattes.
Some stations and brooches have an obvious connection. Wembley Park is a footballer. Well, it had to be, didn't it?
His dad would have loved this. But this wasn't about yesterday. It was about today. His day. His lifelong dream. His turn to stand and sing and hope. He smiled and started down the steps towards the crowds.
I found stations I'd never heard of in parts of London I didn't know. For example, Chalk Farm.
The meat on this kebab is tough, I said. I heard Slick sigh over his frying pan. Just shut up and eat it. I missed Jimmy's cooking. He'd mix it up a little. Slick only fed me meat. I dragged a chunk of beef from the skewer. What part of a cow is this? I asked.
I also had to find more writers, so I held a number of competitions and became part of BBC Art's Get Creative. The rules were simple. Each story had to be inspired by the London Tube station, the station area, or the paired brooch. To make the stories quick to read while travelling on the tube, they couldn't be more than 300 words long, over in a flash. Quite a challenge for the writers. The results are an amazingly creative, imaginative and diverse collection. There are 68 contributing writers. Not all are Londoners, they're from all over the UK and beyond. There are stories to suit everyone: comic, historic, contemporary, unsettling, playful and many more. Now I have 90 flash fiction stories taking you on a journey around one of the most famous capital cities in the world. You can visit familiar places like Tower Hill or visit a station you may never heard of perhaps. Hanger Lane.
God, but everyone was looking at the 6'5" giant wading through the grey sludge of homebound commuters. The rain pulled at our feet as we clung to the spindly stem of my black umbrella, each shivering more than us in the wind.
It is a unique way of enjoying London and fiction. No two stories are the same, no two brooches are the same. There are some fun and unusual rewards for those who are kind enough to support me in bringing TubeFlash into a book. Have your name in the book as a patron, have a signed copy of the book, have your very own train brooch or one of the original TubeFlash brooches. Have a chance to see all the original TubeFlash brooches at a private event.
Thank you for your support for TubeFlash, Tales from the Underground. Look out for me on the London Underground. I'll be wearing a brooch, or two, or three.